Hello, lesson 183 of A Course in Miracles workbook. Welcome back, my truth seekers. Thank you for joining me. We are just going to jump right in. Today's lesson is titled, I Call Upon God's Name and on My Own. God's name is holy, but no holier than yours. To call upon his name is but to call upon your own. A father gives his son his name and thus identifies the son with him. His brothers share his name and thus are they united in a bond to which they turn for their identity. Your father's name reminds you who you are, even within a world that does not know, even though you have not remembered it. God's name cannot be heard without response, nor said without an echo in the mind that calls you to remember. Say his name, and you invite the angels to surround the ground on which you stand, and sing to you as they spread out their wings to keep you safe and shelter you from every worldly thought that would intrude upon your holiness. I mean, that is magical. That you can call on if you are struggling as you're doing the undoing of the mind and you're just getting, it's just like a pop off of stuff. Bam, 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 happening. Trigger, 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 trigger. Some serious in the world of the dream, in the 3D dream. Serious to minor to annoying into the ba in between, or if it's just something internal that comes up and it's just like dragging you back, call on his name. Be still a moment to go home, as yesterday's lesson clearly stated. That is what you are doing when you call on his name. And it gives you that pause to get into that space in between. That is the awareness. That is the magic spot. That is going home. Believe it or not, that space between is where he resides. Call on him if you find that you are stuck in this space here. I don't even want to say here because I'm assuming that this here is not that. And that, it's ugly. It's greedy. It's manipulating. It's dark. And it's not true. It is false, appearing as real. It is just not true. Repeat God's name, and all the world responds by laying down illusions. Every dream the world holds dear has suddenly gone by, and where it seemed to stand, you find a star, a miracle of grace. The sick arise, healed of their sickly thoughts. The blind can see, the deaf can hear. The sorrowful cast off their mourning, and the tears of pain are dried, as happy laughter comes to bless the world. Repeat the name of God, and little names have lost their meaning. No temptation but becomes a nameless and unwanted thing before God's name. Repeat his name and see how easily you will forget the names of all the gods you valued. They have lost the name of God you gave them. They became anonymous and valueless to you. Although before you let the name of God replace their little names, you stood before them worshipfully, naming them as gods. It's really asking us to replace the false with the truth. We are all embodying in the name of God. Thoughts of God are with us always. If you take your mind there, that's when all of a sudden you're not taking your mind anywhere. You will remember it's who you are. Your mind has always been that. What you've done, rather than taking yourself somewhere, you're removing a shield and exposing what is truth. Repeat the name of God and call upon yourself whose name is His. Repeat His name, and all the tiny nameless things on earth slip into right perspective. Those who call upon the name of God cannot mistake the nameless for the name, nor sin for grace, nor bodies for the Holy Son of God. And should you join a brother as you sit with him in silence and repeat God's name along with him within your quiet mind, you have established that an altar which reaches to God Himself and to His Son. I love that. Practice but this today. Repeat God's name slowly again and still again. Become oblivious to every name but His. Hear nothing else. Let all your thoughts become anchored on this. No other word we use except at the beginning when we say today's idea but once. And then God's name becomes our only thought, our only word, the only thing that occupies our minds, the only wish we have, the only sound with any meaning, and the only name of everything that we desire to see, of everything that we would call our own. Thus do we give an invitation which can never be refused, and God will come and answer it Himself. Think not He hears the little prayers of those who call on Him with names of idols cherished by the world. They cannot reach Him thus. He cannot hear requests that He be not Himself, or that His Son receive another name than His. Repeat God's name and you acknowledge Him as sole creator of reality. And you acknowledge also that His Son is part of Him, creating in His name. Sit silently and let His name become the all-encompassing idea that holds your mind completely. Let all thoughts be still except this one. And to all other thoughts respond with this, and see God's name replace the 1,000 little names you gave your thoughts, not realizing that there is one name for all there is and all that there will be. Today you can achieve a state in which you will experience the gift of grace. You can escape all bondage of the world and give the world the same release you found. Oh, and when you do that, you will literally feel the weight just rising from you. It does feel like it's a miracle. It's incredible. You can remember what the world forgot and offer it your own remembering. You can accept today the part you play in its salvation and your own as well, and both can be accomplished perfectly. Turn to the name of God for your release, and it is given you. No prayer but this is necessary, for it holds them all within it. Words are insignificant and all requests unneeded when God's Son calls on His Father's name. His Father's thoughts become His own. He makes His claim to all His Father gave, is giving still, and will forever give. He calls on Him to let all things He thought He made be nameless now. And in their place, the holy name of God becomes His judgment of their worthlessness. All little things are silent. Little sounds are soundless now. The little things of earth have disappeared. The universe consists of nothing but the Son of God, who calls upon his Father, and his Father's voice gives answer in his Father's holy name. In this eternal, still relationship, in which communication far transcends all words, and yet exceeds in depth and height whatever words could possibly convey, is peace eternal. In our Father's name, we would experience this peace today, and in his name, it shall be given us. This is such a beautiful lesson. I call upon God's name and on my own. You know, these lessons sometimes feel, I think, to a beginner student of the course, can feel a little daunting, feels a little bit, you can't understand it. And those that don't believe in organized religion sometimes feels a little churchy, but for the most part, sometimes it just feels confusing when you're doing these lessons, and then your ego says, remember, you didn't do your lessons yesterday. You're not a good course student. I mean, the ego is just there like swimming, especially when you start this workbook. It comes up and it goes, no. I'm going to do everything in my power to spiritualize my egoic power against this student, this course student, or whoever is a truth seeker, essentially. But one of the easier ways to really just get you back to center is just call on God. Call on him as your Father. And you are inviting Holy Spirit to just take, if you can't give it over and you find yourself just analysis paralysis or paralyzed with fear over something that is actually physically happening or mentally happening, call on the Holy Spirit. They will come to the rescue. And I think as we are in that, now we are officially in the halfway marker of this workbook, things might start to get even more confusing because the ego knows you are at the halfway point. I need to really ramp up and disillusion the student and really throw some things into the mix that makes you maybe second guess this work. And that is probably why this lesson is at the point where it's at, when things get really confusing and your logical mind, which is kind of driven by the ego, wants to try and remember lessons to help you out of the hole, but you can't remember all of them, especially if you're a first-time student. You're not meant to remember every lesson, but what you're doing, you're building up an energy, and you're slowly removing blocks simultaneously. But as the ego is ramped up, right now is the point to keep it really simple for yourself. Just call on Holy Spirit. You don't have to do anything else. Call on Holy Spirit. If it's mental, if it's physical, whatever the untruth is happening, it feels real, and we're not going to dismiss that. But in order for you to make that separation, to make that detachment from what is happening in the pool, in the jar, in this circle of untruths, of valueless crap, and to get you back to kind of that Christ self with Holy Spirit, back to reality, to make that separation. And sometimes it has to be fast because you're just getting dragged in, kicking and screaming. Just call on Holy Spirit. And that's what this lesson is really, really asking us to do. I call upon God's name and on my own, because we are merged We are connected. We are one with the peace, in the peace of God. Thank you so much for joining me today. Lesson 183. I love you. God bless you. Until next lesson, thank you for joining me and hang in there. Bye for now.